California state lawmakers have been pushing through legislation that blurs gender rules for youth groups, schools, and sports teams. One bill would give teenage boys who quote unquote identify with girls full access to girls' sports and teams as well as facilities. That includes girls' showers, bathrooms, and locker rooms. Another bill could revoke tax exemptions for nonprofit youth groups that do not embrace homosexuality or gender identity disorder. Now, joining us now with more on this is Brad Dacus. He is with the Pacific Justice Institute. So, Brad, what sort of nonprofit youth groups does this apply to in this Senate bill, and what would it do to them?
Yeah, this Senate bill, SB 323, applies to every nonprofit youth organization in the state of California, period. So, for example, it applies to the Boy Scouts, it applies to the 4-H Club, Special Olympics for Youth, but it also applies to Young Life, Youth for Christ, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Awanas. There's no exception for religious organization or convictions. Bottom line is, if these organizations, if these groups are not willing to hire homosexual or transgendered youth leaders, then they will lose their state tax exempt status and actually have to pay taxes on all donations brought into their organizations, which would be extremely hard and crippling.
Let's talk about the school sports legislation. Explain what the impact would be, and does this just apply to public schools or private schools as well?
Yeah, this just applies to public schools. But what it says, which is very large, by the way, of course, what it says is that if a boy comes to school and he says, you know, I feel like I'm a girl, no counseling is required, doesn't matter what the parents say, doesn't matter what the psychologist says, then it doesn't matter. If he says he feels like a girl, then instantly he is to be treated like a girl and have access to the girls' bathrooms, the girls' locker rooms, to shower, to use the girls' showers when they use them, to be on the girls' athletic teams. And of course, it also applies to girls who say that they feel like a boy. And this is a serious, not just to the kids and the privacy issues, but it's also a serious setback to these young people who are working through real psychological gender identity disorders. It's being very irresponsible, and it's to their demise that this might become law.
So what is the status of these measures in the California legislature?
Well, right now, unfortunately, the Boy Scouts, anti-Boy Scouts bill has already passed the state Senate. It's already moving on its way to the state assembly. It passed 27-9. All the 27 were Democrats. All the 9 that voted against it were Republicans. Now it's moving to the state assembly. The other legislation, AB 1266, which deals with the boys going in girl locker rooms, that already passed the state assembly. It's now moving to the state Senate. And so we at the Pacific Justice Institute are working really hard to rally people to contact their state legislators, and specifically to make it easy, if they could go to genderinsanity.com, genderinsanity.com. It's a special website we've created just so people can go to that website and know who to contact to weigh in against these bills. If they become law, then we at the Pacific Justice Institute will have no choice but to challenge them in federal court. And it's not going to be an easy battle, so we want to stop it right here.
Considering the overwhelming numbers in the votes that you talked about, can anything be done to stop the gender identity and gay rights activism that's essentially trampling on religious rights for Americans?
Yeah, it is serious setback. It makes the homosexual marriage look like a child's play, because here we're talking about impacting young children at a very young age in a very strong, dominant way. That's much more serious. And so the bottom line is that it can be stopped. We believe it can be stopped if people contact their state legislators in the state of California. And make no mistake, if this goes through in California and we can't stop it, it will be coming to a state near you, and all 50 states eventually. That's why we have to stop it in its tracks. And we at Pacific Justice Institute encourage people once again to go to genderinsanity.com to help us accomplish this important task.
Brad Dacus with the Pacific Justice Institute, thank you so much for your time as always.
Thank you. Appreciate it.